everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Property Wealth Podcast. We're really glad you're joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. Today we're diving into something that's super relevant, especially in these uncertain times, retail strip centers.
Right. It's interesting because many people think these types of properties are a bit risky, especially during a recession. But there are some tweaks you can make that can really help them thrive.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the market and making smart adjustments. We'll talk about how to identify the right locations, the types of tenants to consider, and strategies to keep your centers full and profitable, even when the economy is a bit shaky.
And we'll also touch on how to create a community vibe that keeps customers coming back. Because, it's not just about the storefronts, it's about the experience you provide.
That's a key point, Sarah. Engaging the community can really make a difference. Plus, we'll share some real-life examples and tips that can help you make informed decisions.
So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to expand your portfolio, there's something here for everyone. Let's dig in and explore how to make retail strip centers work for you.
Sounds good. Let's get started. Sarah, I think it's really crucial for our listeners, especially those over 40, to understand why retail strip centers can be a smart choice right now.
Absolutely. With everything happening in the economy, it feels like a good time to reassess our investments, right?
Exactly. As people approach retirement, they want to ensure their investments are not just safe, but also capable of growing over time. Retail strip centers, in particular, can provide that kind of stability.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest concerns is inflation. With everything getting more expensive, having a solid income-generating asset is more important than ever.
Right. Let's say someone invested in a retail strip center 5 years ago. If they locked in a long-term lease with a good tenant, they could be sitting on a steady cash flow that's increasing over time, even as inflation creeps up.
That's a great point. And it's not just about the cash flow, but also the long-term appreciation. I remember a client of mine, let's call him Tom. He bought a small strip center in a growing area, and despite some initial hesitation, he's seen tremendous growth in its value.
That's a classic story. Tom might have been nervous at first, but now he has a tangible asset that not only generates income, but also appreciates. That's peace of mind, especially as he's thinking about retirement.
Definitely. And speaking of peace of mind, having that financial security can really ease some of the emotional burdens that come with aging. I mean, who wouldn't want to know that they have a steady income stream to rely on?
Exactly. It's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the lifestyle that security provides. Imagine being able to travel or spend more time with family without constantly worrying about finances.
Right. And for many, this is also about wealth transfer to family. Investing in retail strip centers can create a legacy. When the time comes, you can pass down not just wealth, but also valuable lessons about financial responsibility.
That's a great angle. And let's not forget the current economic trends. We've seen a shift in consumer behavior, especially post-pandemic. People are returning to local shopping, supporting small businesses. Retail strip centers can take advantage of that shift.
Absolutely. It's all about adapting to those changes. I read about a strip center that pivoted by bringing in a mix of local boutiques and essential services. They thrived, even during tough times.
That's a smart move. Diversifying tenants can help mitigate risk. If one business struggles, others can help maintain the overall income.
That strategy feels especially relevant today. With economic uncertainties, having multiple income streams can provide a safety net.
Yes, and for someone who's over 40 and maybe looking at retirement in the next decade, that kind of planning is vital. It's about being proactive rather than reactive.
And let's not forget about the flexibility of these types of investments. Retail strip centers can often be repositioned or redeveloped to meet changing consumer needs.
Exactly. I had a colleague, let's call her Linda. She had a strip center that wasn't performing well. Instead of selling it at a loss, she reimagined the space, brought in some co-working options, and suddenly it became a hub for local entrepreneurs.
That's a perfect example. It shows how adaptable these properties can be. And for investors over 40, being able to pivot like that is key to maintaining relevance in the market.
Right. It's that kind of proactive approach that can really pay off. Plus, there's a certain pride in transforming a space and contributing to the community.
Totally. It's not just about financial gain. It's about making a positive impact. And for many investors, that's a huge motivator.
Exactly. And as they think about their retirement timelines, they also need to consider how these investments can support their lifestyle goals.
So true. Many people want to travel or spend more time with family, but they also want to know their financial future is secure. Retail strip centers can help facilitate that.
And let's not forget about the potential tax benefits. Depending on local regulations, there can be significant advantages that come with owning commercial properties.
That's a smart move, too. It's all about maximizing your investment while minimizing your tax burden.
Right, and for those who are new to this kind of investing, it might seem daunting, but the right guidance can make a world of difference.
Exactly. Having a mentor or a solid team can help navigate those waters. It's all about building that support system.
So as we wrap up this section, let's think about how these retail strip centers can fit into the broader strategy for long-term wealth.
Yes, it's about seeing the bigger picture. These investments can be not just a source of income, but a pathway to financial security and a lasting legacy for future generations.
Well said. Let's dive into some core strategies that can help make this a reality for our listeners. So, let's dive into some of those core strategies and rules of thumb that can really help when you're looking at retail strip centers. I think one of the first things to remember is the 1% rule.
Right. That's a classic. So, for those who might not be familiar, the 1% rule suggests that you should aim for the property to generate at least 1% of the purchase price in monthly rent.
Exactly, yeah. So if you buy a strip center for, say, $1 million, you want to see around $10,000 in monthly rent. It's a quick way to gauge whether a property might be worth pursuing.
And this is particularly useful in the retail space, where you might have multiple tenants, right? It can help you evaluate the cash flow potential pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And then there's the 50% rule, which complements the 1% rule nicely. It's a way to estimate your operating expenses.
Right. So if you're bringing in that $10,000 a month, you'd estimate that about half of that, so $5,000, would go towards operating expenses.
Yes, and this includes things like property management, maintenance, insurance, and property taxes. It's a good baseline to ensure you're not overestimating your cash flow.
So if you're looking at a potential property and it doesn't meet these rules, it might be a red flag, huh?
For sure. But let's also talk about cap rates, which are super important in assessing value. A cap rate is essentially the return on an investment based on the income it's expected to generate.
Right. So if a property's net operating income is $100,000 and it's valued at $1 million, the cap rate would be 10%?
Exactly. You calculate it by dividing the net operating income by the property value. A higher cap rate typically suggests a higher risk, but potentially higher returns, which is something to keep in mind.
And when considering retail strip centers, what would be an ideal cap rate to look for?
Well, it really varies by market. In a strong market, you might see cap rates in the 5 to 7% range, while in less desirable areas, they could be 8 to 10% or more. Just remember to consider the associated risks with those higher cap rates.
That makes sense. And what about specific deal evaluation checklists? Do you have a go-to list for evaluating retail strip centers?
Definitely. I recommend starting with location. Look for centers that are near high-traffic areas or have good visibility. Then evaluate the tenant mix. Diversity is key. You don't want all your tenants to be in the same industry.
Yes, I've heard that before. A mix of retail, food, and service-oriented businesses can really help weather economic downturns.
Exactly. And then you want to assess the lease terms. Long-term leases with stable tenants can provide security, but you also want to check the lease rates compared to the market. Are they below market, at market, or above?
That could really impact your potential for rent increases in the future, right?
Absolutely. And don't forget about the physical condition of the property. You want to look for any deferred maintenance issues that could lead to unexpected costs down the line.
So let's say you found a promising strip center. What about financing options?
Good question. Traditional bank loans are one route, but you might also consider commercial loans, which can sometimes be more flexible.
And those can have different terms, right? Like shorter amortization periods, but maybe lower interest rates?
Exactly. You might also want to explore partnerships or syndications, especially if you're looking at larger properties. Pooling resources can allow you to take on bigger projects without over-leveraging yourself.
Yeah, that's a smart move. And what about the property type? Are there specific types of retail strip centers that tend to perform better?
Well, grocery-anchored centers are often seen as more stable since they provide essential services. They tend to attract foot traffic and have a consistent customer base.
That's true. People still need to buy groceries no matter the economy.
Right. And then you have centers that cater to more lifestyle-oriented tenants like cafes and fitness studios, which can also do well if you're in a good demographic area.
So you really need to know your market and what kind of tenants will thrive there.
Exactly. And always keep an eye on local economic indicators. Job growth, population growth, and even future development plans can all impact the long-term viability of your investment.
Those are some solid strategies. But, even with all this planning, it's easy to trip up. What are some common pitfalls to watch out for?
That's a great transition. One big pitfall is getting too emotionally attached to a property. It's easy to overlook issues if you fall in love with the idea of owning it.
Yeah, I can see how that could lead to poor decision-making.
Exactly. Another common issue is underestimating expenses. Many new investors think the cash flow will cover everything, but unexpected costs can really eat into profits.
So it sounds like having a realistic outlook is crucial.
Absolutely. And don't forget to factor in potential vacancies. Even the best properties can have turnover, so having a buffer in your cash flow planning is essential.
That's a great point. It's all about preparing for the unexpected.
Right. All right, let's keep this conversation going and explore some more strategies and pitfalls. Sarah, one of the most common pitfalls I see in retail strip center investing is over-leveraging.
Oh, absolutely. Many investors think they need to maximize their borrowing to get the best properties, but it can backfire so quickly.
Right. I had a client who was really excited about a prime location, and they went all in, took on a huge mortgage. But then, when the market shifted slightly, their cash flow just couldn't support those payments.
That sounds stressful. So what happened next?
Well, they ended up having to sell at a loss, which wasn't the plan at all. It's crucial to have a buffer. A safety net for those unexpected changes.
Yeah, cash flow is everything, right? If you're not careful, you can find yourself in a pretty tight spot.
Exactly. Another thing I see often is investors not paying enough attention to who their tenants are.
Oh, yes. Bad tenants can really derail your entire investment.
I remember this one case where an investor leased to a small local business without doing proper background checks, and it turned out the business was struggling. They missed multiple rent payments, and within a few months, the investor was scrambling to find someone new.
That's tough. It's not just about filling the space. It's about finding the right fit.
Definitely. And that's where due diligence comes in. Understanding a tenant's financial health, their business model, and even their reputation in the community can save you a lot of headaches down the line.
So what are some red flags investors should look out for?
Well, for starters, if a potential tenant is overly eager to sign a lease without providing financial statements or references, that's a big red flag.
Right, that raises suspicion. What about cash flow?
Ignoring cash flow is another major mistake. I had an investor who focused solely on the potential appreciation of the property and didn't watch the cash flow closely. They ended up in serious trouble during a downturn.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of property values rising.
Exactly. They thought they could ride it out. But when expenses started piling up, it became clear they were living on borrowed time.
It's crucial to have a solid cash flow plan, isn't it?
Absolutely. You should always be prepared for those months when things aren't as rosy. And speaking of planning, timing the market can be another trap.
Oh, for sure. It's like trying to predict the weather in the long term, right?
Exactly. I've seen investors wait for the perfect moment to buy, thinking prices will drop, only to miss out on great opportunities.
And then they end up paying more later, don't they?
Absolutely. It's about finding the right property that fits your financial strategy, rather than trying to time the market perfectly.
That makes sense. And then there are those hidden costs that come up, right?
Oh yes. I can't stress enough how important it is to budget for those. One investor I knew didn't factor in maintenance costs.
Oh no?
Yeah, and when the roof started leaking, it was a huge financial blow. They hadn't set aside any funds for repairs or unexpected expenses.
That's a tough lesson to learn.
It really is. When you're buying a retail strip center, it's essential to consider all the potential costs, from management fees to property taxes to those surprise repairs.
So how can investors keep themselves informed and avoid these pitfalls?
Well, first off, stay educated. Attend workshops, read up on market trends, and connect with other investors.
Networking is so valuable.
Absolutely. And also, don't be afraid to seek professional advice. Real estate advisors, property managers, or even legal counsel can provide insights that you might overlook.
That's really important. A fresh set of eyes can catch things you might miss.
Exactly. And one more thing. Always have a contingency plan. If things don't go as expected, you should know what your next steps are.
That's sound advice. So what's the best approach to recover if you find yourself in a tough spot?
Well, the first step is to assess the situation honestly. Look at your expenses, income, and see where you can cut back or adjust.
Right, being proactive is key.
And if you're struggling with tenants, consider working with a property management company. They can help find new tenants or even negotiate with current ones.
That's a good idea. It might be worth the cost if it saves you from a financial headache.
Exactly. And don't hesitate to reach out to your lender if you're facing challenges. They might be willing to work with you on restructuring your loan.
That's a great point. Communication can often open doors.
Yeah, and remember, every setback can be a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. It's all about resilience and adapting to the circumstances.
Exactly. And if you can spot those red flags early, you'll be in a much better position to avoid pitfalls.
So to wrap it up, focus on your cash flow, do your due diligence on tenants, budget for hidden costs, and don't try to time the market.
Well said. And always have a contingency plan in place. That way, you can navigate the ups and downs of real estate investing with more confidence.
Great advice, Mike. So let's transition to what our listeners can do next to start building their wealth through real estate.
All right, Sarah. So let's dive into some immediate, actionable steps for our listeners who want to get started with retail strip centers.
Absolutely, Mike. It's all about taking that first step, right? So where should they begin?
Well, first things first, I'd recommend getting familiar with local market data. You can start using tools like Zillow or your local MLS Access, which can give you a good idea of pricing trends and property availability.
Oh, that's a great point. Understanding the market can really empower your investment decisions. What about analyzing specific deals?
Exactly. I can't stress enough how beneficial it is to analyze at least one potential deal per week. Using tools like the Bigger Pockets Calculator or Deal Check can really simplify this process. They help you crunch the numbers quickly and effectively.
Yeah, those calculators are super handy. They can help you evaluate cash flow, ROI, and all that fun stuff. And, it's not just about looking at numbers. It's about understanding what those numbers mean for your investment.
Right, and alongside that, I'd suggest checking out Rentometer for rental data. It's a simple tool that helps you understand what similar properties are renting for in the area. That's crucial for figuring out what you can charge for your retail spaces.
For sure. And it's always good to have that baseline to work from. Now, what about resources like books or podcasts?
Oh, definitely. One book I always recommend is The ABCs of Real Estate Investing by Ken McElroy. It's straightforward, practical, and gives you a solid foundation.
That's a classic. And there's also the Bigger Pockets podcast, which has a ton of episodes on various real estate topics, including retail investing.
Exactly. There's a wealth of knowledge out there. You can also look into local meetups or online forums. Connecting with other investors can be incredibly valuable.
Networking is so important. It can lead to partnerships, mentorships, and learning from others' experiences.
Right, and starting small is key. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just commit to attending one local meetup per month, or even just joining a few discussions online.
That sounds doable. And speaking of starting small, what about habits?
I'd suggest setting aside a specific time each week to focus on your real estate journey, whether that's researching properties, analyzing deals, or networking. Consistency is more important than intensity.
I love that. It's all about building those habits slowly but surely.
Exactly. And, if you're feeling really ambitious, try to set a goal, like reaching out to a new contact every week, or even visiting a local strip center to see what's available.
That's a practical approach. It keeps you engaged and motivated.
And remember, it's okay to start where you are. everyone's journey looks different.
So true. Just taking those small steps can lead to significant progress over time.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about keeping an eye on economic trends that could affect retail spaces.
Like changes in consumer behavior or shifts in the economy, right?
Exactly. Tools like Google Trends can help you gauge what people are searching for and how those trends could impact retail demand in your area.
Such a useful tip. And, having this information at your fingertips helps you make informed decisions.
Right, and being proactive is key. If you see a trend, you can adapt your strategy accordingly, whether it's focusing on essential services or diversifying your tenant mix.
So, with all these steps and tools in mind, it really feels like listeners can take meaningful action right away.
Definitely. With these tools in your pocket, you're ready to move forward. Let's recap what we've covered today. All right, so as we wrap up today's discussion on retail strip centers, I think it's clear there are some solid takeaways for anyone looking to invest, right?
Absolutely. One of the big ones is understanding the importance of tenant mix. A diverse group of tenants can really help stabilize cash flow, especially in tougher times.
Definitely. And then there's the whole idea of enhancing the customer experience. Creating inviting spaces can drive foot traffic, and that's key for those businesses.
Right, and let's not forget about the value of flexibility in lease agreements. Being open to shorter terms or unique arrangements can really attract a wider range of tenants.
Exactly, and I think one of the most crucial points is the potential for adaptive reuse. Like, transforming a retail space for different purposes can really open up opportunities in a shifting market.
Yeah, it's about being proactive and looking for those recession-proof tweaks that can keep your investments thriving.
And it really highlights how real estate isn't just about buying and selling. It's about being strategic and always thinking ahead.
For sure. Building wealth through real estate is a journey, and it takes time. But with the right mindset and knowledge, it's definitely achievable.
And speaking of journeys, if you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'd love to hear your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have in the comments.
And share this with someone over 40 who's looking to dive into property investing. You never know who might need a little encouragement.
Absolutely. And next time, we'll be diving into a really interesting topic: hotel conversions to multifamily housing, opportunity or risk.
It's going to be a great discussion, so you definitely won't want to miss it.
Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being here.
Take care, everyone.